We are on our last activity for Unit 4, which is all about feeding your cells, getting your cells the nutrients that it needs. So this last thing we're going to do is using a metabolism model. And with this model, we're going to put together everything we've done so far in this unit. We're going to, you can see our skill here is to explain using a model how the three systems that we've learned so far work together to feed your cells. So this is probably the most important skill in our unit as far as your scores go, and we're going to have you actually make a video to show that you know that. So this is the model that we are going to be using, and I'm going to explain that in a little bit going forward. First, I want to review. The question that your notes are going to have you answer is what fits in a cell and what doesn't fit in a cell. You might remember with the digestive system that there's like polymers and monomers, and only those monomers are able to fit in your cells. The same thing kind of with other nutrients too that we get from other parts of the body. But if we look over here, these are the things that are inside the cell. If it's not in the cell, that means it doesn't fit. So water is able to go through the cell membrane, as is amino acids, and then oxygen. Glucose is also able to enter the cell membrane through a lot of those transfer proteins and things like that. And then carbon dioxide is able to get in and out of the cell membrane too. However, some things cannot, right? If you remember that protein, this is too large to fit into your cell through your cell membrane. Starches as well, too large to fit through your cell membranes. Those were called polymers, if you remember. And that kind of takes you back to our lesson on digestive system. Let's talk a little bit about cellular respiration now. So if you remember, we've talked about this quite a bit. The mitochondria are responsible for cellular respiration. What they do is they get oxygen here, and they also take glucose here. And when both of those ingredients are present, they're able to produce a couple waste products, water and carbon dioxide, but also the all-important molecule for energy, ATP. Remember, when we break ATP down into ADP, then it releases a lot of energy. And that's what we need for our cells to function. So here's kind of a close-up on kind of like the process of what's happening. So in this model, you're going to see the green dots as well as, picked a bad time to start explaining this. Those green dots are oxygen. Here's those hexagons, I guess, those yellow hexagons coming together. And you see what's happening. They come together and they produce, I think that glow kind of shows the energy it's producing. And then it also produces those water diagrams there, as well as the carbon dioxide. So in comes the oxygen and glucose, out comes the water and the carbon dioxide. And then especially important is that glow from that energy. So you can see what's needed. What's needed is the oxygen and glucose, because for a little while there, that one part here, I think it's coming up soon here, you're only going to have those oxygen without the glucose, right? So nothing's happening here. We need the glucose too, and here it is. So unless you have both ingredients present, oxygen and glucose, cellular respiration can't happen. It's kind of why if you stop eating, you're going to die, because you're not getting the glucose you need for cellular respiration. It's also why if you stop breathing, you're going to die too, because the oxygen is not present to perform the cellular respiration. You can see here that we got plenty of oxygen, but barely enough glucose. As we look at this model, you notice that this is what we just had zoomed in. This is what's happening in each of your cells. This model is also going to show the different types of systems that are at work here. So the green system on the left is going to be the digestive system. Food is going to be coming into your digestive system in this model, and it's going to get broken down. The respiratory system is over here. So this is where you're going to see molecules entering and leaving through the breathing process. And then in the center of it all, we have the circulatory system. This represents the heart, and which connects kind of to the lungs, right? And then this is your arteries and your veins kind of moving throughout the circulatory system. Down here, we haven't discussed this too much, but your body does have the capability to store glucose, especially when you've had maybe too much. It can store it for later. And then you can use it when you're a little bit zapped and you're not eating some food, as much food as you could be. Over here, it'll actually show you cellular respiration levels. So every time you'll see cellular respiration happening in your cell, you'll notice that the cellular respiration levels go from low to high, or kind of depending how fast it's happening or how much it's happening. And that tells you how much energy you're going to have to do certain functions. And then all of these are listed also in the model too, and we've already kind of gone through a lot of these. Oh, one thing we didn't go through was fiber, and you'll notice that fiber kind of goes directly into here and then not into your bloodstream. Too big for the bloodstream. All right, we're going to actually watch this metabolism model. This is slide 3, so we're going to talk about the different systems. Let's first talk about the digestive system in this process, then the respiratory, then the circulatory. So if you'll notice in this video, this green thing is the digestive system. You'll notice that we have glucose here, and that's what was produced from the starch that's going to be going into your system. And then the digestive system, remember, through the villi in your small intestine, allows a lot of these things like glucose to enter your bloodstream. And there they all went. They all went into the villi, into your bloodstream. So if we go to the digestive system, here's the corn that we just ate. Okay, so your corn, you notice, is a lot of starch. That's a polymer. That's a big, large polymer, right? In your stomach, in your mouth, this polymer does get broken down into monomers of glucose. So you see that. There's also some fiber happening here. Some amino acids were actually present too. We use that to build our proteins. But you'll notice that a lot of that fiber and some of the starch actually gets passed out and wasted into the toilet. But a lot of this starch is getting broken down into these tiny monomers that can fit into your bloodstream and can fit into your cells. The starch by themselves can't. Here we just ate a bunch of fish. And fish, you notice, has a lot of protein. That's what these blue ones are. In the stomach and also in the small intestine, the protein is getting broken down into amino acids. You'll notice the amino acids are carried by the circulatory system all the way into your cells. And you remember, the amino acids is what you do to build proteins. We're not really showing that with the ribosomes here, but you'll notice that once we get enough amino acids, proteins get built. And that's the whole process with the DNA and the RNA, creating your proteins in the ribosomes. So you need those amino acids to build new proteins from your instructions of your DNA. Here I just ate a sandwich, so you notice that we have starch and we have proteins. Those proteins are going to get broken down by your digestive system into amino acids. There they go, into your bloodstream. And then those starches are going to get broken down into glucose, which can be taken into your bloodstream too. So what's the role of the respiratory system then? I'm going to play this video again. You'll notice the respiratory system is getting oxygen. Every time you breathe in, oxygen gets brought into your lungs. And then through the alveoli, that oxygen gets brought into your circulatory system. When your cells waste your, when your cells create some, check it out here, some carbon dioxide, it's these ones here, the bloodstream picks up that carbon dioxide. Eventually what's going to happen, and here's the first round of carbon dioxide, the carbon dioxide is actually to go into your lungs too. And this is how you breathe out your carbon dioxide. The alveoli pick that up back into the lungs. So when you breathe out, which will happen pretty soon here, I think, breathing in, a lot of this carbon dioxide is going to get breathed out. Yep, there it is, of your body. So your respiratory system brings in that oxygen, takes it to the bloodstream, which carries it to your cells here, and then it takes out that waste product, the carbon dioxide from the cellular respiration, that gets brought to your lungs, and you get rid of that. So what's the role of the bloodstream? You notice that the bloodstream is really just the transporter, right? The digestive system is doing all the work of getting you glucose and amino acids. The respiratory system is getting rid of that carbon dioxide and bringing in the oxygen. So the bloodstream then is simply that transfer point. It takes all that oxygen to your cells. It takes the glucose from your digestive system to your cells. Your cells have these waste products of water vapor, which often evaporates, but carbon dioxide too. And that carbon dioxide gets transported by your bloodstream back to your lungs for getting rid of from your body. So that circulatory system really is just that transfer point. And this is just a reminder of what's really happening inside your cells. Remember, you're getting that glucose, you're getting that oxygen from your respiratory system and your digestive system, and you're creating energy, which is making your making you able to be alive, really, that energy. And then it's also creating water vapor and this carbon dioxide. You'll notice that the water vapor often kind of disappears, it evaporates, but that carbon dioxide gets taken into your bloodstream and back to your lungs. That last question is, why are nutrients especially important if you're doing exercise? This is actually a whole nother model where the person is exercising, and you can imagine that to exercise you're going to need energy. Watch just how much more energy is used up when you are exercising. So we're going to, I wanted to play this video here. Maybe I won't go full screen, so I'm just going to play it as it is. So you notice I'm kind of going from rest, now I'm trying to sprint. And you'll notice that we need some cellular respiration, but the problem is we don't have enough cellular respiration at the moment. So that's why we're not able to really do much sprinting. We had to go back to rest because we got tired. And you might notice that too. When you eat a good meal, maybe the day before a big athletic event, or in the morning, this is why it's so important to eat breakfast in the morning. It'll make you better at using energy when you're exercising, because you'll actually have some glucose to use with your oxygen to exercise. It's also why you breathe harder when you're exercising too, because you might have an oxygen shortage when you're exercising. Not enough oxygen is getting to your cells fast enough, and that's why you're breathing a lot more heavily too. Your lungs are like, give me more oxygen, I need it. And you'll also notice that's why your heart pumps faster when we exercise, because so we see we're exercising here. Your heart pumps faster, and because your cells are basically crying out, hey, we don't have enough glucose, we don't have enough oxygen for cellular respiration. We need that now. So look how fast our heart is working here to try to get all that glucose to your cells, because unless you can do cellular respiration, you're going to run out of energy and you can't exercise anymore. So those are the reasons why your heart pumps faster when you exercise and why you breathe more heavily when you exercise. You're basically trying to get your cells enough oxygen and glucose to keep doing that cellular respiration, which is going to give you the energy you need. All right, let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to exit so I can actually see full screen again. Here we go. Let's talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing here. So we're going to give you access to the video model. You actually could just go to my slides here, or you can actually, I think I have a link where you can go to the video model too. I would like you to play the video model in the background while you make a Loom video, and I want you to be able to explain why cellular respiration is necessary and why molecules are needed to do it. If you want to use that cellular respiration blown up model, you could do that too. Otherwise, you could just use the one right here. I'd also like you to explain the role of the digestive system in getting the molecules that your cells need to them. And I'd also like to explain the role of the respiratory system in getting molecules needed by your cells. And then maybe getting rid of molecules not needed, right? And then I'd like you to explain the role of the circulatory system in this whole process too. All right? If you can do that, we'll give you a score on that skill of how you can use the three systems to work together to feed those cells. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know.